Today on the podcast, we have Alistair Morrison. He's the head greenskeeper for Durness Golf Club. We're excited to get to pick his brain about this magnificent golf course. I hope you guys enjoy.
Well, Alistair, we're thrilled that you could join us today. Thank you for joining the Travel Royally podcast. It's good to see you today.
Yep, you too.
And I would suspect, based on what you're telling me before we started, that the weather kind of looks like my backdrop there. Warm and sunny.
Not quite. Not quite.
Well, I'll tell you what, Alistair. And by the way, Alistair is the greenskeeper up at Durness in Durness, Scotland. We'll talk more about that. But the way that I found Durness, Alistair, it's really funny. I bought a book called the Scottish Golf Guide, and the cover of that magazine had a picture of this beautiful par 3, and I couldn't find it. This is kind of before the internet, really. This is in the 90s, right? So I finally found it in several years later, and on a trip over there, I made the drive from Murray up there, and I loved it. It's a wonderful course you're at, and you're fortunate to be there. You probably know that, though, right?
Yeah, but that's scenery-wise, if you look at something every day, you maybe do get a bit used to something.
Well, you asked me about how my day was when I was there weather-wise. And what I told him was it looked like Hawaii. And that's not an exaggeration. They've got beautiful beaches. It was a beautiful, sunny, warm day. Greenery in the background. It literally looked like Hawaii. And I just loved it. So anyway, where are you from originally? Did you grow up there in Durness?
Yeah, I'm local. So I was born and bred here. Went all through my schooling here, and then just moved away laterally to college, and then did my apprenticeship, and then got the chance to move home, which I jumped at. I like living here. I think you either like living in a rural sort of country place or you don't. But I prefer that to city life.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, great getting away to a city for a holiday or a weekend, but I like my peace and quiet a little bit as well.
I get it. Well, for people who are unfamiliar with your part of Scotland, tell everyone where Durness is.
Yeah, so Durness is in the top northwest of the map. So just near Cape Wrath, which some people may know. We're the most northwesterly golf course on the mainland. We're 80 miles from Royal Dornoch, and we're just over 100 miles from Inverness, which is the nearest airport.
Yeah, it's. I remember driving up there. It seemed like probably 50 miles was on a one-lane road with turnouts.
Yeah, a fair stretch of single track road. I also should have said there that many will have seen the new North Coast 500 publicised. So we're actually right bang in the middle of that, basically. So our traffic's increased, visitor numbers have increased. Not all positive from some people, but if you've got a business or like as a golf course, it's been good for us.
Yeah.
But generally, Durness seems to be a stopping point, no matter which way you do the route. So accommodation can be a little problem at the moment.
Yeah. Well, for those people that are unfamiliar, the North Coast 500, it's the equivalent of a much longer Ring of Kerry or a stretch of drive like driving down Pacific Coast Highway in California. It's a long drive that goes up around the perimeter of the northern Highlands of Scotland. And it's a beautiful, beautiful drive, very scenic, very remote. And, I know this isn't on the North Coast 500, but that road that goes up from Inverness, or from Dornoch, I should say, it's what we're trying to get people to see, to be honest with you, Alistair. And that is, we want people to see real Scotland, not just Edinburgh or St. Andrews, but, sheep in the road blocking your progress, and, wonderful little pubs along the way. It's it's a great stretch of road, and it's a very fun place. So let me ask this, starting at the beginning, what's your earliest memory of golf?
My earliest memory, I guess it would be just playing as a youngster in school. I was quite lucky. I went to school with quite a good group of people. So everybody generally did all the after school activities and the weekend activities. So golf was just a part of that. So it's something I played from probably, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7, as young in primary school. There was always lessons at the club, which we took. And then I continued playing right through. And obviously, becoming a teenager, I took a bit more interest in it.
Were your parents big golfers?
No, not as such. No, but my father definitely not. But my other family members did play golf, so that possibly helped.
So not only did you get more serious as a teenager, you got to be quite good. You won the club championship, right?
Only laterally. I won the club championship here 2 years ago. So yeah, my handicap has dropped a little bit in the last couple of years. I've been putting a bit more effort into it.
What's your handicap now, if you don't mind?
I play of 8.
Excellent.
Hopefully a little lower by the end of this year.
Excellent. I think the other thing, what people don't realize, well, now we're on the World Golf Handicap System, right? So
yep.
In the past, it was different because you guys only submitted scores from competitive rounds. We have always submitted every round, including our weekend, fun games. And to be truthful, if you watch a group of Americans play golf, we're a little sketchy about the rules, right? Like we played this past weekend. Some of the guys didn't like their initial tee shot, so everybody gets a breakfast ball. Hit a second one, right?
Okay.
If there's a tree root in the way, well, move your ball over. You don't have to punch it out or take a drop, So you guys your 8 would probably play more like a 5 or 6 over here.
But the new handicap system, I don't think it's completely settled in the UK yet. I would say there's still a fair bit of teething problems, but it's getting there.
Yeah. So you're quite a good golfer. What's your favorite course to play?
I mean, I've got lots of favorites, but Castle Stewart is probably my favorite one that I play regularly. I make sure I play that once or twice a year, and I play it in all weathers, and I've never not enjoyed it.
Right.
I think it's just a fantastic place. From the minute you go in the car park, you're well treated. The club or staff are friendly. The course is always good. It's just a fair. I've played it with all levels of golfers, and you can just pick your tees. I just think it's a fantastic place. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, for those people who are unfamiliar, Castle Stewart is just got a stone's throw from the Inverness Airport, just a little bit east of there. And it was built less than 20 years ago, but it looks like it's been there 100 years, doesn't it? Now that it's grown in.
I took one of my friends there last year, and he was quite surprised how matured it looked. It's all quite similar to King's Barnes, I would say. I got a chance to play King's Barnes before, and that's maybe I've only played it once, but that's right up there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you need to get into my business. I've played King's Barnes 10 times, and I agree with you. It's fantastic. Have you played Dunbarney?
I haven't. It's on the hit list. I've played Trump, but I haven't played Dunbarney. But we'll get around to it eventually.
You're gonna love it. It's very similar to King's Barnes and to Castle Stewart, meaning you get that same friendly welcome, multiple tees, wide fairways. But what's different, and by the way, we're gonna have Clive Clark on this podcast. He's the designer. He's a former Ryder Cupper. So you're in very good company, Alistair. Here's what I found. The first tee box is up on a hill, and from there you can see bits and bobs of the course. You know, you can see parts of fairways or parts of greens. You can't see the whole thing. Once you get down into the middle of the fairway, maybe 200 yards down, that's the last time you see the rest of the course. It's all hidden by dunes that they've created. And here was my experience. It's the only course I've ever been on where when you turn away from the green and towards the new tee box, your reaction is wow. I mean, I said wow 18 times. You're like, wow. Wow. I mean, you're going to love that. So you love the American style links courses where they take really good care of you in the clubhouse. You can get a hamburger. I mean, those clubs were set up for foreign visitors, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're quite lucky in the respect of Castle Stewart. Because we're in the local postcode, we get a discounted rate there. So it's great for a day out.
Yeah. You guys get a much better rate than we do. They have a similar scheme with Dumbarton and Kingsbarns for people in the local postcode down there, or if you're a member of the Scottish Golf Union.
Yeah, I think it probably helped them in the COVID time. I know we went to Castle Stewart a couple of times a year the last couple of years. Just because it was kind of COVID times and that, and so I guess there was lots of people doing that. Yeah.
Well, I happened to be I was over there last year. I just sent a text to Hayden. For the entire summer, I spent it in Scotland, and I was able to go out and play Dumbarton, and it's just brilliant. Now, you attended college at Elmwood College, correct?
Yeah, I completed my NC Greenskeeping at Elmwood. That was in 2011 to 2012.
Yeah. Kevin Thompson went there as well. So that's and there's some famous architects that have attended school there as well.
Most greenskeepers in the north generally go there. A lot now can do it sort of open learning or block release. So I think that's maybe more of a new thing.
Did you get to play a lot of golf down there?
I played some golf. Didn't play that much. We used to play a bit of weekends in that, certainly in the college course and things like that.
Yeah.
But we were kind of there over the winter, so you're relying on weather and stuff as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about greenskeeping, because I think most people that are watching this or listening to this, including Hayden and I, we don't know a lot about greenskeeping. And one question I've got is how's technology impacting what you do?
I did look at this question earlier, and certainly for me personally, it's probably, I would say it's more advanced machinery than technology. Certainly in Durness here, we're moving quite quickly with our machinery upgrade since I came in. And each piece is like adding to your jigsaw. Like for example, 2 years ago we got a new fairway mower, and automatically people were seeing the difference. This year we just bought a new aerator for aerating all the areas. So over time we'll see a difference with that. But I know some of the bigger clubs use things like pogo sticks for moisture and all this, but I don't have any of that available, I'm afraid.
Excellent. Well, I want to introduce you to Hayden Moore. Hayden, this is Alistair Morrison.
How are we doing, sir?
Nice to meet you.
He's wearing his old course hat, although he's never played it. He's sporting a hat I bought him.
Yeah, I've got more old course stuff than I do any other course. I'll
send you a Durness hat to wear next time.
Perfect.
Hey, we'll support you. We can be bought with hats. No. So we just got started, Hayden. We've asked maybe 5 questions or so. He's doing a wonderful job. But so let me ask this: at Durness, how many people are on the greenskeeping staff? I'm guessing it's 1.
Yeah, just myself. So for the listeners, we have we have 9 greens but 18 tees. So it's a little bit different to some 9-hole courses. I mean, you've played it yourself, but
Right.
a lot of 9-hole courses are quite tight and packed in, but we're actually quite spaced out.
Right.
You know, none of the holes really overlap each other or things like that.
Right.
And it bags the room out the back end. You could get another 2 courses out there.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. I was at Scotts Craig this summer. Have you ever played there down by St. Andrews?
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah. It's a really friendly members club. And I was playing with them. And afterwards, I had lunch with the captain and the club manager or club secretary. And they were saying that they have 4 full-time greenskeepers, right? In comparison, you and I were talking about Dumbarton. They have 43 greenskeepers there.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
My gosh.
I think, is that a yes, Alistair? You'd like to have 43 on your staff there?
Maybe 2 would be a start, but
So can you explain the course a little bit to me? We have a course here called Bobby Jones, and you said it has 18 tees but 9 greens. So you play opposite, so you can play 2 different 9s backwards.
Yeah. So basically, we've got they were men's tees and ladies' tees, and they had a front 9 and a back 9. But in the last couple of years, we've moved away from men's and ladies, and we've gone to a black course and a white course. And they all have 18 tees each. So some holes are maybe quite similar, but some are completely different. The tees maybe at a different angle, or a split fairway, or there's a different obstacle to hit over. But yes, there's certainly plenty of space in it. I think some people have the opinion that 9 holes are maybe sometimes a wee pitch and pat, or quite tight for space, but that's not us, certainly.
So let me ask this, Alistair, how did you get your start in greenkeeping?
When I left school, I was fairly interested into it. I applied for an apprenticeship, which I didn't get. So then I enrolled in the NC Greenkeeping in Elmwood College. But just before I started, I met the head greenkeeper from Durness Golf Club, James Macbeth. And he had mentioned that he was looking for an apprentice the following year. So we kind of kept in touch, and as I was finishing my college course, I had an interview with him, and I took the job up there, which I then completed 3 years there.
Excellent. Aurora is quite a nice course, isn't it?
What kind of stuff do you learn in college?
Yeah, but a lot of the college work is theoretical, and if I can remember rightly, I think there was 12 in our class, and so we had 4 days at college, and one of them was practical. But as you can imagine, if there's 12 of you around one machine, or they split you up, you're not getting that much practical time. So once I went out to Brewer, it was like, I think I learned more in a week than I did in 6 months in college, to be honest. But Brewer was a great place to learn. There was only 4 of us in the team there, so you were pretty much, there was something they didn't do, but you were kind of thrown in at the deep end. So if you didn't swim, you drowned.
Yeah, sometimes it's the best way to learn.
How many times were you electrocuted by the fencing around the greens?
I had a couple of shocks off them, yeah.
That's great. Well, that's a wonderful golf course. Now, I saw a picture of you at Kingsbarns. Were you on the Dunhill? Did you work during the Dunhill?
Yeah, well, my 3 years at Brewer, I was lucky enough to James sent me to Kingsbarns my first year there, to the Dunhill. It's a bit of volunteer support. And then the second year, I went out to Switzerland, to Crans-Montana, to the European Masters. So I did 10 days out there with, I think there was 7 of us went from Scotland. And then the third year, I went back to Kingsbarns. So yeah, I enjoyed that. And it's something I don't really get to do so much now, because I just can't take a week off in the season to go and work at a tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
I do still go back to Brewer and help with their 5-day open when I can.
Well, you can come down to the Murray Open and help at ours too. We'd love to have you. Kevin would welcome the help, I can assure you.
Kevin would love to watch the last round of the Open for once. Let you take his spot.
Yeah, that's
No, it's
Sunday
that-
of the Open Championship.
Said he hasn't watched it since, I don't know how long, 20, 30 years ago.
So Alistair, you worked in Switzerland on a parkland course. How is that different from maintaining a course like Durness?
I've never worked in a parkland for a length of time, but I guess a lot of soil underneath is going to be different. I mean, links is fairly sandy. Drainage isn't a huge issue normally. There's no trees in links courses, so you're not blowing leaves or having to worry about sunlight issues. It's kind of a different ball game. I'm quite happy to work in a links course. I even prefer playing links golf.
Yeah, so do I. And Hayden will once he plays it.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest challenge of maintaining a course like Durness?
I would say weather being the main one. Because we're so remote and so isolated, it can get a lot of wind and rain. Although the last 2 summers have been extremely good. I mean, last summer was the driest we've had in certainly in my time. So water was a problem. And so we're getting better now, but certainly machinery may be a problem for me at the start of my time here. I was a wee bit limited of what I had, but we're improving that yearly.
Yeah. And you don't have an irrigation system there, right? You're relying on.
We do have a small water supply around the course, but very little. So yeah, you need to be ahead of the game with that.
Yeah. Did you guys bore a hole to supply water?
No, it's off the mains. I should have actually said we're actually the course is on a triple SI, so a special site of scientific interest. So there's certain rules about what you can use and what you can't use. So things like boreholes and that wouldn't be an option for us.
Right.
We go back to I might have missed this, but the electrical fencing around the greens and why you had to do that. I'd love to hear the origin and how that works.
Yeah, so in Durness we don't own the land. We rent the land, and so do the local farm. So we've got a management agreement basically. So at the moment they graze sheep in it throughout November. So basically from October through to May, but it's really only November, December, and then April, May. So during that time we have electric fences up around the greens and some of the bunkers. So obviously the sheep can't get in. But yeah, that brings its own problems. But as I said, animals are in the biggest challenge.
Oh, that's funny. I couldn't imagine. So what is it electrical? Is it invisible fence, or is it like really short to the ground to where it just hits there?
No, because it's sheep and lambs we're having to protect. It's kind of at knee height. The wires at knee height. But yeah, so come May, they'll come down and course is back to normal again.
Yeah, they've got thin metal stakes that encircle the green. And then they've got that electrified wire running the whole circumference of the green. So when you approach the green, you have to step over the.
Okay.
Yeah.
How often do you hit that?
But not
obviously
as often.
you hit the green every time, so you don't have to worry about it.
No, not as often. Not as often as you would think. But you can't hit the ball back if you hit it. So, but as I say, they're not up in the summer in Durness, so it's it's not a huge issue in the winter.
Okay, that's just cool. That's very interesting. That's definitely a first.
Well, Brora, they have that up all year round.
Yeah, they also have cattle, so they have sheep and cows all year.
Just to protect the greens. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, they have. There are other courses. I want to say like Dunaverty,
Yeah, they have cows, and there's certainly some island courses that have animals, raising animals.
Yeah.
Well, like at Heritage in Nashville, Tennessee, here they have about 60 sheep. Um, but the good thing is that they only let them out during the day, so they'll close the gate at night. So
Mhm.
there's people walking around the whole time, so they're probably not going to be on the greens. They stay away. But
So for example, in around 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks, the sheep are coming back onto the course for a spell. So we'll have around at least 400 sheep, and they will all give birth to a lamb. So there'll be a lot of animals in the course.
yeah, that's a little more than 60.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I'll tell you what, Alistair, I know that you or some of the members might think, well, that's kind of a nuisance, or maybe not. Maybe they've just become used to it. For me, as someone who's played a lot of golf in Scotland, I think it's one of the charms of playing a course like that. You know, it's
Yeah,
something that we don't experience in the States. It's wonderful.
certainly, we didn't used to get that many members early, that many visitors in the early summer, but it's getting busier now. And a lot of reviews do state, it's like, wow, we played the year and there's electric fences and there's sheep and I think it is maybe another just something people don't see before.
Experience. Yeah. It's all about
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. What course in Scotland would you say, other than Durness, is the best maintained course that you've played?
That's an unfair question.
Unfair.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots and lots of good courses in Scotland. In fact, there's lots of good courses in the Highlands. But I mean, as we talked about before, everywhere has different levels. And you can't really expect a smaller course to compete with a bigger course with lots of staff.
Yeah, but let me ask this. Let me ask the question a different way, Alistair. You look at a golf course differently than Hayden and I do, or any of the people that are listening to this in all likelihood. You're looking at it from a greenskeeper perspective. You're thinking, how do they do this? Or how did they do that? Or look how well that bunker's shaped or maintained or whatever. So what course that you've played where you go, wow, this is really well maintained? And I know Broro would be on your list because you've got a special affinity there, but are there other?
Be safe.
It's up there. I don't think there's many complaints there. I mean, they probably consistently have as good greens as anywhere else.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I'm a member there.
Yeah. But wait, so name a course where you walk on the course and you go, wow, this is really well taken care of.
Well, I'll probably get back to my favorite course, Castle Stewart. It's always well maintained also.
Yeah.
What do you say is the hardest to maintain on a course?
I think it probably depends on your site. I mean, it's horses for courses, but certainly in Durness, but bunkers can be a problem in Durness. Just with it, we get a lot of wind, a lot of dry wind at the moment.
Yeah.
So when the sand starts to dry out, you get a lot of sand below. So that can cause a lot of work.
Yeah. Sure.
But it can just depend on your weather conditions. I mean, if you get a lot of rain or a lot of growth, obviously cutting comes into it. If you get a lot of dry weather last year, it was more about keeping things alive.
Right.
Sure.
Let me ask this. What would be your, who would make up your dream foursome and where would you play?
This was another question I thought about earlier, and I'm still a little bit undecided.
Well, and let me throw one complication
Undecided.
into it. The people could be living or dead. If you could play with anybody.
I would like to play around Durness, my own course, with another 3 pros. Something we haven't had before. I would just love to see a couple of pros up and having a go at it.
Okay, so name the pros. Who would you like to see?
I don't know. You've got to have Tiger Woods in there, haven't you?
Absolutely.
He went into the Hall of Fame last night. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I noticed that this morning in Sky Sports.
How
I'm
about
taking
Bob
Phil.
McIntyre?
Bob McIntyre, yeah, another Scottish man. I'm a patriotic Scot, so yeah, always got a Scot in there.
And how about Bryson DeChambeau? Wouldn't you like to see him?
Destroy the course.
He would drive some of our holes. um,
Yeah,
His divots are like a foot long.
yeah.
yeah. It's I know they recently played here. I don't know if you saw it, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, and he wasn't able to play. But I don't know if you remember last year on par fives around water, he was driving
Or
it
6.
like literally to the green on a par five, cutting just.
Well, it's 340 carry to cover the water. And then normally people are going to take the right, but it's all the way around water. He's the only one that went all the way over the water, and he actually overdrove it through the rough.
We have a similar hole in Durness. So yeah, that would do DeChambeau.
How much is it to carry?
Well, I would. It's not something I've ever measured before, because realistically, you wouldn't do it. But yeah, I must check that one out.
That'd be
That's
interesting.
funny.
He'd probably use a 3-wood.
Yeah.
Okay, so Hayden, we're going to ask him a question here. The if next week, I know that the game, he's a big soccer fan, right?
Mhm.
And he follows the Scottish national team. So if they played England, to make up for the match that got canceled with Ukraine, let's say they played next week, what would the score be and who would win?
Yeah, we would beat them. You need to be confident in these games, and we've been close the last twice. We've drawn the last 2 games. But yeah, I think we could edge them out now.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would hope so. I was telling him earlier, Hayden, that I saw the Scottish national team play Brazil at the Emirates in London
Yeah.
about 15 years ago, and it was just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It's a great time to be a Scotland fan at the moment. We qualified for the European Championships, and now we're in with a shout for the World Cup. So it's been a bit of a long slog the last few years, but we seem to be back in the mix again.
Your rugby team's quite good too, right?
Yeah, they're doing okay. Yeah, I don't overly follow rugby, but I'll follow this. We've got the Six Nations here, so I'll follow that.
Yeah. So
I'm
let me,
slowly
okay.
becoming a soccer fan. I married into a huge soccer family, which I played American football. So I had no experience. And now I married a soccer player. Her dad's a huge fan, brother and sister's huge fan. So I'm adapting.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. He's coming to learn to love the beautiful game.
Well, I now I watch every single women's national team game because my wife is obsessed with them. So I'm a fan now.
Yeah. So another question. So let's say this Saturday that Rangers played Celtic. Who would win that match?
Again, you've got to follow your team. So Rangers need some points just now, so it's got to be them.
Who's at the top of the table now?
Celtic are top at the moment. So it's all very tight at the moment.
Yeah, and how many games are left in the season?
I think there are about 8 games left, I think now. So yeah.
And how many points behind are they?
They're only 3 behind, and they play each other twice. So yeah, so lots to play for.
Wow, that's going to be an exciting finish to the season.
Let's hope so.
You still play a lot of golf?
I play regular golf. I play at least once a week during the season. I try and get out sort of during the week if I can, but sometimes it can be a busman's holiday. If you've done your 8-9 hours, sometimes the last thing you want to do is go back out at night. Certainly last summer, I was doing a lot of watering greens and that at night time, so golf just didn't happen some weeks. But certainly I'm still a member down in Brora, so I'll go and play at least there, sort of maybe 2 medals a month in the summer, which I enjoy. It gets you away from your own course, and sometimes it's like you're still working, you're kind of looking about at things and what am I going to do tomorrow, and you might see something, and or certainly my pet hate is if you see you might see a visitor doing something or a member doing something, and I don't know whether it's taking a chunk out of a tee or not replacing and it's in your head then. So at least if you're playing another course, it's not your responsibility, and
Yeah. So let me ask this: are you a whiskey drinker?
Not really. I can drink it, but it's not my first protocol. No.
So I thought you
Mine
said
either.
you're a patriotic Scotsman. That doesn't sound like a patriotic Scotsman.
Well, it's certainly it's not a drink I would go and take off the shelf, but I can drink it. I would, if I was drinking a spirit, it'd be gin or vodka I would drink first.
Are there any gin distilleries up your way? Or I know there aren't. I don't believe there are any whiskey distilleries up that far north. Anyway,
Not this far north. There's a couple of gin distilleries in Caithness, which is a little bit closer to us. But yeah, nothing too close to us, to be honest.
so what's your favorite post-round beverage? So it's like that day I had there, where it's really hot, sunny, no wind. What do you drink when you come off the course?
Anybody that knows me well would quite safely answer Tennant's Lager.
Tenants with a top, or just straight tenants?
No, just straight Tennant's. That's a safe bet for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have a lot of drinks to try when I come there.
Yeah, I
First
like.
trip in July.
I had my girlfriend over there, and we were in the Isle of Skye,
Yep.
and she's never tasted beer, never
Okay.
tried it. So I convinced her to try a Lager Shandy, and she loved it. So I've got a picture of her in her mid-50s drinking, with a pint of beer up to her mouth. It's one of the happiest days of my life.
Love it.
So are you a Guinness fan or no?
No, I don't do Guinness. In fact, two of my friends do, but no, Guinness has never been one of my drinks.
We're Guinness lovers.
Yeah, and there's at our club at Murray, Alistair, a couple of years ago, two retired captains from the RAF base there started brewing beer. It's called Windswept, and they've got that on tap now. So I've kind of switched my allegiance from Guinness to
Oh.
the hometown Windswept.
club.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Do you have any breweries up your way? Any craft breweries?
We don't locally, but there is talk of one in the planning stage, which I hope happens. I think it'll be very popular.
So obviously we want to get people to come up and visit Durness. We think it's a wonderful stopping point. It's a great day trip. People are up there. What would you recommend they do off the course? Where would you recommend they eat? Where would you recommend they get their tenants?
Our local hotel is Smoke Cave Hotel. That's where I drink my local tenants. But there's lots of sort of visitor attractions around by us. Smoke Cave itself being probably the biggest one. And the beaches are fantastic. Day trip to Cape Wrath. We have a zip line. Lots to do.
Love it.
And certainly, if you're traveling from Dornoch or traveling from Inverness, there's lots and lots to do and lots of restaurants you pass, and lots of options.
Yeah, I would recommend, well, it's almost by necessity, but making a day of it, right? Because it's going to take a couple hours to get up there. If you're in, as an example, in Inverness or Dornoch, you get up there, spend 3.5, 4 hours playing golf, and then the next 4 hours or however much time, explore the area, eat the local food, drink the tenants in the hotel.
I would agree with that. Or even, maybe even stop halfway, go and stay somewhere else, or, even play golf somewhere else. There's lots of good golf courses either side of us.
What's the nearest course that you like to play?
Well, probably Brora is 80 miles, and there's not that much closer. Allapool would be our closest, and Bonar Bridge, which are a little bit closer, but not much. There's also 3 clubs in Caithness, which again is about the same mileage.
Yeah.
There's not very much close to us.
Well, again, I think that's part of the charm. It's out of the
Yeah,
way.
absolutely.
It's, you know,
The feel, culture, it's much different than the big tourist cities, right? So
Yeah, but
that's what a lot of people want.
it's a very busy place in the summer, Durness now in general. Get a lot of tourists.
yeah. Well,
Here's an interesting question. I don't think we've done this one before, but
he's very
what's your-
modest. Here's
what?
an interesting question I just thought of.
Yeah, right off the top of the head. What's your course that you would play once a year? Like, say you're playing somewhere special. Where's the place you're going to play once a year?
Well, we probably already talked about it, but I make a point of playing Castle Stewart at least once a
Okay.
year. Certainly on the bucket, I've got Royal Aberdeen on my bucket list. I've not played that, so that's top of my agenda this year. I'm going to try and
That
get
was our
down to
next
the back
question.
end. So that's on the agenda this year.
What about Open Championship courses? How many of those have you played and what's your favorite?
I've never played any of them, so I've not even played the old course. Some of my friends played it in the lockdowns, but just after the lockdowns when it was easy to get on. So yeah,
Was
one of
it
my other
cheaper at
friends,
that time too?
I think it was just easier to get a tee time.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people going about Muirfield. So yeah, I need to get around some of these Open Championship places, but just getting the time sometimes.
Jeff
Yeah,
was
that's a very poor excuse. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Hayden.
no, you're good. Jeff was in St. Andrews during COVID, and I think you said you were the only person on the old course one day.
No. I would go out in the mornings and there was no one out there, but you
I got you.
you could have easily gotten on.
Yeah.
And if you need any advice on where to play in Scotland, you just let me know, Alistair, because I've played every one of the British Open. I said that wrong. Of the Open Championship courses that have ever hosted the Open, including the ones in Ireland and England and
Ireland's another place I would like to adventure. We just did me and some friends did a golf holiday in Turkey last November. Which is really brilliant. Like we really enjoyed it. But a couple of us are quite keen to go to Ireland and play some of the links golf over there.
yeah.
I mean they look pretty special.
Would that be your first time to Ireland
It would be
for golf?
For golf, yeah.
Yeah, that's a quick hop from Inverness to Belfast or Dublin or Shannon or Cork.
You can fly from Inverness, yeah.
You'll have to join us.
Yeah, when we're over there, we'll invite you over. But I'll tell you what, a course that would be similar to yours that you should play is Cruet. Have you heard of that,
Okay.
Cruet Island?
No, haven't played that one.
It's in Ireland. It's a 9-hole course. It's out on the northwest corner of the country. It's probably the closest thing I can think of to what you have there. But it's one of those hidden gems, or we like to call them diamonds in the rough, which is what we would call Durness. It's, you stumble on it, you're like, how is this place not full of golfers, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say that if we were even 30 miles, down the road a little bit, I think it would be a lot busier. But last year we had our busiest year ever, and I'm hoping it's going to stay that way. We're certainly promoting the course more and publicizing it more. So yeah, I mean, the power of social media has been brilliant for us. It gets you right around the world, so easy.
Yeah. Well, we will do our part to promote Durness. We'll make sure that this podcast gets promoted across all the social media channels.
Sure.
And Alistair, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for
Yeah, we
investing
appreciate
your
you
time with
coming on.
us. You were
Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks again to Mr. Morrison for coming on and speaking with us. We can't wait to get out and play Durness next time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please share the video. See you next week.